It was the beginning of sophomore year, and we were sharing a suite, a double. We had bedrooms on either side. No, actually, we were sharing one room, two beds in the room. And Myra came. I was second. By the time I got there, the room was filled with her things, all the way from Miami Beach, Florida. And although I had known her freshman year not really very well, we were rooming with a group of four, and Myra and I were the ones in this double room. And finally Myra came in, and she was much too small to handle all these big things that she had brought with her from Miami Beach. But we sorted that all out and started being good friends. The other funny thing about Myra, of course, was I was from Massachusetts. She was from Miami Beach. And guess who liked the window open in the cold in the wintertime? And guess who didn't like the window open in the wintertime? But again, we worked that out, and I stayed toasty warm most of the winter with the window closed. But Myra's always been a wonderful, not only a talented person, but a wonderful friend with an absolutely marvelous sense of humor. She makes fun of herself, although she's proud of what she does. She can laugh at herself and laugh with people and just make people feel good. All 4'11" or 5 feet of her. She's just wonderful, and her family's wonderful, and I certainly have enjoyed knowing her and plan to continue my enjoyment for at least 20 more years.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Probably if I thought about it, but she's just such a wonderful person, warm person, another story I could tell. My favorite story of going to visit her, perhaps 10 or 15 years ago. My daughter and I were flying down to Miami and then driving to Key West. And on the way home, I was spending the night with Myra. And this was kind of arranged last minute. And when I came back, my daughter flew off back home, and I went with my Key West, Florida clothes, which were very loud and sandally, and bathing suits and shorts and everything. And I arrived at Myra's, and she said, "Well, how would you like to go to a Miami Beach art opening with me tonight?" I said, "Sure, fine. I don't have much to wear." "Oh," she said, "it doesn't matter at all."
Oh.
So Myra looking very elegant, and I in my orange shirt, my flowered skirt, and my sandals went to a very, very lovely Miami Beach opening. And of course, again, it was wonderful fun, and I enjoyed seeing the opening and meeting all the people. But I must say, I felt like the Tennessean I was arriving there. But as I say, it's always marvelous to be with Myra, and she's just a very wonderfully warm and loving human being. I will treasure our friendship always.
Thank you.
That's enough.
Interesting you ask about when my wife Susan and I first got to spend some time with the Lehrs. My first recollection was in New York City in approximately 1960 or 61. And we talked about the fact that I was going on in surgical residency training, and David was at Columbia in internal medicine and cardiology. And so we shared some stories about what we thought our futures might be like. And at the same time, on the other side of this, the counterpoint, was these two ladies talking about art and where they thought they might be going. In a retro view, it might be said that was a wonderful admixture of things. You had scientific talk on one side and the balance of artistic talk on the other. And I wonder if that balance might be why the two marriages lasted as long as they did. And it's also interesting that we would just have snippets of experience. For example, I remember sharing New York stories with David, whom I liked very much because he was very much a people person. In sort of New York parlance, he was a mensch. But he was a doctor, and he was an internist, and those people are, if they don't have it innately, they are trained to relate to people so that they know how to help them. And then go back, or go forward, I should say, several years, and I can remember an absolutely delightful lunch that we had. They were now living in Miami Beach. We were living in Nashville, and I was attending a surgical meeting in Boca Raton, and we made a date to meet in Fort Lauderdale. And we went to a really lovely French restaurant for lunch, much more upscale than I would have ever selected. But we did, and it was a wonderful experience. And it was like picking up where we had left off in 1960 or 61. That's the kind of people they have been. We've also enjoyed really taking great pleasure in Myra's career as it has advanced. And I remember at that luncheon in Fort Lauderdale, David having a book of Myra's artwork and how proud he was of what she did. And we talked a bit about that, and it harkens back to the mention I made of balance in life and how I think they found something together, because I could see that over time. And I'm sure there are other things that could come to mind if I had more time about these delightful people. But those are my primary reminiscences of David, who I know is an outstanding physician, but also kind of a humanistic individual who could appreciate his family and his wife's talents and this sort of complementary approach to life. So I appreciate having a chance to comment.
My first meeting with Myra was at Davison, at Vassar in Davison. Myra was living next door to me for freshman year. And she and I had one thing in common. We were both what was then called a size 5, and we both wore Anne Fogarty clothes. Myra had beautiful clothes. I remember she came to Vassar with a French poodle, a mink coat, which was her 16th birthday present from her parents, and a television set. And she couldn't keep, well, she certainly couldn't keep the dog or the TV set. I don't remember. I don't even think she kept the mink coat. But anyway, she was very pretty. She was my size. We both were, we could have exchanged clothes. And, we had a lot of clothes in common with crinolines and Anne Fogarty and things like that. She was dark and exotic and very interesting. And let's see, are you going to edit this? Or
I don't think so.
No? Okay. But as time wore on, I found Myra to be extremely honest, very funny. She spoke her mind, and she said things that were a little bit shocking for our era, which was very conservative. But all of a sudden, Myra would come out with some non sequitur that was really funny. And she would make a lot of people laugh. She kept a lot of things going. She's very vivacious, has an interesting personality, very magnetic personality, always did, but I think it's even gotten more so with the years. And let's see, well, I'm not sure how long I have to go on here. I lost track of Myra for a while, but looked her up again when I was shooting some video myself, and found her work to be extraordinary. I'm really pleased that she's done so well with her painting, that she's so dedicated, so focused. And, in a way, David was a wonderful guy. I knew him, and I knew one of her children, Liz, who is really beautiful, and came to one of our reunions. But I think Myra has evolved into a fantastic person, and the years have been very good for her, and she has really become much more than she started out or she ever dreamed to be, I think. And she has really blossomed as a human being. Oh gosh, what more can I say?